Good morning. It's August 2nd here on Buckeye Scoop. This is the Morning Scoop. I'm your host, Kevin Noon. We are getting close to the start of the season. Fall practice. Need to know what season it is. Fall practice starts here later this week. Really excited about it. We have put Big Ten Media Days in the rearview mirror. Notre Dame game is coming up here in just about a month and a day. So we are excited about that as we get closer to the start of the season. Good morning to everybody out there. I am, again, Kevin Noon filling in here on the Morning Scoop. And let's talk a little Ohio State. We'll talk a little football. We'll talk a little basketball as we go from here. We just finished wrapping up our speed option series on Buckeye Scoop. Went through and looked at the 12-game schedule for Ohio State. Just a top-down view of every opponent. We didn't do a deep dive. I think Phil Steele's magazine's getting smaller and smaller print each year. My glasses are getting thicker and thicker, so it's getting a little bit more difficult to read every little aspect in there. But very manageable schedule, I think, if you ask me, and I guess you are since you're listening. But we start with Notre Dame and continue through the non-conference schedule and open up the schedule, the Big Ten schedule. I mean, Wisconsin's there right off the top, and you go all the way to Michigan. What concerns you the most in this season? What game would be that trap game to you? What is your definition of a trap game? When I think of a trap game, I don't think of a home game being a trap game because you're at home. And if you get trapped at home, then maybe you're just not a very mentally tough team. So to me, a trap game really is more of a road game. And the one that kind of jumps out to me is going to be Penn State. And it's not because, Ohio State's handled Penn State pretty comfortably here recently as of late in terms of the overall seasons. But maybe that creates the trap. Maybe the trap is because Ohio State has had success, is not coming off of a couple of 1-point wins and a 3-point loss or whatever it was. The nobody on the team really remembers the blocked field goal in State College. Now Beaver Stadium nearly came down while I was in the elevator trying to get down to the field when the end of that game was. I mean, let's call it for what it is. I think it was botched when the game was botched at the end. So do you look past Penn State? I mean, if Penn State is sitting at that point, I don't remember how deep into the season it is. If Penn State's sitting 8-0, 7-1, whatever, what have you, probably not a trap at that point. If Penn State's kind of struggling a little bit in terms of, is it going to be Sean Clifford? Is it going to be Drew Allar? Who's going to be their quarterback? I think the receiver core is going to be really good. Penn State hasn't been able to run the ball in several years. So, and that was something we talked about in there, that the running game for Penn State has just been atrocious. And I think you can couple some of that with the offensive line. I don't think that their offensive line has been all that great. They haven't been maximizing it. That's for certain. Whether or not you want to believe that the players, they've had the players, they haven't had the players. I don't think that they've been able to do anything with the players that they've had. So you kind of go from there and you look, and I think that kind of becomes a little bit of a trap game if Penn State isn't what everybody thinks that they may be to start the year, and if they can prove that. And I'm pulling up some notes as I'm talking to you, as I am kind of winging this one off the cuff. I have not done a morning show before, so I'm going through the rest of the road schedule. Michigan State, October 8th. That Penn State game is right around Halloween, October 29th. On the road the next week to Northwestern on the 5th of November, day before my birthday. One shopping day to my birthday from that Northwestern game. 51 for anybody who is asking. And then they're home for a week, and then Maryland. We certainly have seen Maryland give them a scare in the past. I think we all remember, what was that, 52-51 in State College. Very different Maryland team, a Maryland team that's probably not going to be able to run the ball with a lot of success this year, but I think they're going to be able to throw it very well. Dante Dumas, Raheem Jarrett, a receiver. They have Tua's little brother, a quarterback still. I think that Maryland game could have some challenges in it, especially if you're looking ahead to Michigan, which you always are looking ahead to Michigan. Northwestern doesn't do much to startle me at this point. They took a huge step back after the retirement of their DC, Mike Hankwitz, and last year they just couldn't find any offense whatsoever. And honestly, the defense wasn't that great. So is it going to be Penn State? Is it going to be Michigan State? Can either of those games truly be? Could either of those games be trap games by definition because they're big name games? I don't know. I mean, if you're one to buy that a home game could be that, is it Iowa? Granted, Ohio State comes out of Michigan State and then plays Iowa next, but there's an open week in there. So, the coaches certainly should have the attention of the team before Iowa comes here. Remember, Ohio State has not played Iowa since the debacle in Iowa City. It looked like we were going to get a game, and then the schedules changed in terms of whatever it was in 2020. So it's been a while since they played Iowa. Could it be Indiana? It's between two road games, but it's Northwestern on one side, it's Maryland on the other side. I don't know if that necessarily ends up bringing a lot of fear there. Indiana was another game. I mean, Indiana may have been worse than Northwestern last year. And, they certainly have made some steps via the portal. They go and get former Missouri quarterback Connor Bazelak. Is he going to be the guy? Jack Tuttle's still there. They got the running quarterback as well. His last name escapes me. Donovan. It's like Donovan McCulley or something. I mean, but he may be seeing time at a different skill position. The point being is I don't see a schedule that necessarily has a, wow, that is a real rough stretch. How is Ohio State going to manage that? You don't have Michigan State and Michigan queued up against each other. You don't have Wisconsin queued up against Penn State. I mean, you have Wisconsin opening week of the Big Ten season. Michigan State is, 2 weeks after that. Iowa's 2 weeks after that. I mean, I guess maybe Iowa, Penn State, is connecting games, Iowa at home and Penn State on the road. I mean, maybe that leads to something, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling that. I don't know if that's necessarily a situation of where Ryan Day is. I mean, Ryan Day is going to be concerned about every game. Ryan Day is going to be concerned about Arkansas State. I, for one, am not concerned about Arkansas State. Ryan Day, that's his job. He's paid millions of dollars to be concerned about Arkansas State. He's paid millions of dollars to be concerned about all of the games. He also is further inside the ropes than any of us are to see how, the heartbeat of the team, the psyche of the team, where everything is in terms of team. So it's interesting. Let's shift gears to basketball a little bit. On Monday, we learned that Pickerington Central small forward Devin Royal is set to announce on Wednesday at 2:30 Eastern. He has a final three of Ohio State, Michigan State, and Alabama. Michigan State just picked up a big commit here recently. I don't think that it's Michigan State in that situation. I don't think he's going to Alabama. I think he's going to be a player who's going to come home, stay home. And that is a huge get for Chris Holtmann and his basketball team. Let's not forget that Pickerington Central won the Division I state title last year. Who was Devin Royal's teammate on that team? None other than Sonny Styles. So it'll be nice to be able to get both of them together. Granted, they're not playing the same sport, but I think it's a huge get. And then with Drew Singleton set to announce over the weekend, that 2023 class that already has Austin Parks and George Washington III could shape up to be another really strong class coming off of the 5-man class that they have coming in here for 22. And, I think that there are a lot of concerns about what the 22 season is going to look like. Not a lot of returning names. We learned on Monday as well that Ohio State, we already knew they were going to be in the Maui tournament, but they're going to be opening up against San Diego State. We know what the field looks like there. Ohio State, this is their fourth appearance in this Maui tournament. Ohio State has never won it, never gotten into the championship game. Looks like a pretty difficult field as well. So we'll see. We'll see what we get there. But remember, this is a team with 5 incoming freshmen, a couple guys who really didn't play last year in Justice Suing and Seth Towns, a couple of transfers. And then, really the only guy who saw a significant run last year was Zed Key. He's like really the only guy. Oh, I'm sorry, and Eugene Brown as well. And then, that Kalen Etzler who redshirted. So I'll be interested to see what happens there. But let's not move past the excitement of football to get to basketball. I happen to like both sports, so I mean that's all well and good. But when it comes down to it, I'm not ready to start accelerating the year. As us writers like to joke, it's when the seasons collide, and it's not really a happy joke because then you're really on campus about every day, and it's not exactly the closest drive at $4 a tank for or $4 a gallon, not a tank. I would be all about it, a gallon for gas. So there you go. But we're gonna call it a show here in a second. Again, this is we're gonna go weekdays here on the morning scoop with me, Kevin Noon. We're coming up. We'll have we'll have more as we get closer to the start of fall practice. Let me know what topics you want to talk about. Leave it down there in the comments. Be sure to hit the bell, like, subscribe, all that good stuff here on the morning scoop. But until then, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning here on Buckeye Scoop.